Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and I am here today to do the third installment of I Like Big Books, my biggest book collections. And this is my books that are either collections or compilations within the books. So I will go ahead and start with book number 21. And that is The Border Trilogy by Cormac McCarthy. Now, I have read all three books in this collection. I have read All the Pretty Horses numerous times. That is sort of a modern day Western or early 20th century Western. And I have read the other two, the Crossing and all, what is it called, the Cities of the Plain. It is not my favorite Cormac McCarthy book. That would probably go to Blood Meridian or Child of God, but I am glad I have read this trilogy. And that is 1,020 pages long. Next comes the Gormenghast trilogy by Mervyn Peake at 1,023 pages. Now, I have not read any of these books. I bought this in the 90s and I wanted to read it, and it's been sitting on my shelf ever since then. These are sort of a fantasy novel. I mean, Steve Donahue claimed it as one of the great classics of fantasy, and it's very dense supposedly, and I haven't read it. Number 19 at 1,150 pages is The Big Book of Pulps, edited by Otto Penzler. I have shown this book on my channel before because it is a pretty good book. It is one of these double-columned books of pulp stories. I actually listened to the audiobook version of this and only read a few of the stories out of this collection of the book. And this is a pretty good collection. There are a few duds in here, but you got to expect that from a collection this size. Book number 18 at 1,186 pages. This is the collected poems of Robert Lowell. I have read a few of Robert Lowell's poetry. I think he's considered one of the confessional poets. I liked it pretty good. I did a recording of his poem, The Ants, for Poetry Thursday. And I'll read more of his poems someday. Number 17, The Complete Stories of J.G. Ballard, coming in at 1,199 pages. I have read a fair selection of these short stories. None are super standout, but they're all pretty good. He had a very, very famous story, the assassination of JFK, considered as a downhill motor race. It was famously rejected from the anthology Dangerous Visions, although not rejected by Harlan Ellison. It was rejected by J.G. Ballard's editor, who thought Ellison wouldn't want it. It's a pretty good collection. Number 16, clocking in 1,207 pages, is Joseph and His Brothers by Thomas Mann. I picked this up. This is an older translation. And just hold your thought on this one. Number 15, Canopus in Argos Archives by Doris Lessing at 1,229 pages long. This is a series of 5 sort of science fiction novels, very literary, from the famous Doris Lessing. I have read the first volume of these stories, but have not continued them. I wasn't hugely impressed by the first one, but still I should go back and revisit them and see what I think. Coming in at number 14, 1,247 pages. This is an essential for any home library. This is The Complete Far Side. How can your life be complete without The Complete Far Side by Gary Larson? And because of him, I always spell cat food F-U-D. And if you know the cartoon, you know why. At number 13, 2,261 pages, The Collected Stories of William Trevor. Brian over at Bookish just gave a very strong recommendation that people start reading William Trevor with his collected short stories. I have yet to do that. I picked this up as a remainder. You can see the little remainder sticker, and I've owned this for 20 years. Another one I haven't gotten to yet. Number 12, clocking in at, how many pages is this? 1,274, a minor little British dramatist. A few you people may have seen a play or read a play with him in high school. Not too popular as far as I know. Yeah, I've read a great deal of his plays, and I've seen a great deal of them performed live in the theater. I used to subscribe to the Shakespeare Theater in Washington, D.C., and I used to get to see 3 Shakespeare plays every year. When I got married, my wife wasn't too keen on the theater, and I just sort of dropped that. But I don't know. I'd like to go back to seeing Shakespeare live and reading more Shakespeare. After the complete Shakespeare, we have The Collected Stories of D.H. Lawrence. And that clocks in at 1,397 pages. I have read The Rocking Horse Winner by D.H. Lawrence. I read that in college. I may have also read that in high school. I have never read anything else of his short stories. I picked this up at a used bookstore one day for, one of these days. Number 10, clocking in at 1,492 pages, is Joseph and His Brothers by Thomas Mann. This is the second translation into English. This is by the James E. Woods. I just have both translations. As far as I know, and judging from the translators of The Magic Mountain, the first translator is more accurate and authentic to Thomas Mann, but the James E. Woods is a little easier to read for English readers. And I am reading Thomas Mann's The Magic Mountain in April, and after that, maybe I will get to Joseph and His Brothers. Clocking in, or number 9, clocking in at 1,516 pages, is Rabbit Angstrom by John Updike. These are all 4 of the Rabbit novels. I have read all the Rabbit novels as an audiobook, and I read the first one, Rabbit Run, in college. I picked this up at a used bookstore because I've been curious to reread them. Since joining BookTube, I've seen a couple of people review some John Updike novels, and apparently he's not aging that well. He was very well regarded when I was in university in the 80s, but he's just not what he used to be, or just readers don't appreciate what he did back then. Number 8, The Complete Short Stories of W. Somerset Maugham, 1,636 pages. This is an interesting older box set. I picked this up at a $1 used books sale. I have read 1 or 2 of the short stories out of this collection. I do like some of Maugham's novel. I like The Razor's Edge. Don't ask me why I like The Razor's Edge. I know it's not technically a very good novel, but I do like The Razor's Edge. I like The Moon and Sixpence. And I sort of liked Of Human Bondage. And I also read The Magician by Thomas Mann. Not Thomas Mann, Somerset Maugham. And I will probably go back and read a few of these short stories someday. After that, we have the Grove Centenary Edition of Samuel Beckett at 2,074 pages. This is pretty much the complete works of Samuel Beckett available in English. I have read his 3 novels of his trilogy, Malone Dies, and The Unnameable. I have also read the play Waiting for Godot. Waiting for Godot, I just think, is just one of those great plays of the 20th century. I remember when I was younger and I worked in a bookstore, we had a guy who was older. He came from Brooklyn, and he was an actor, and he used to act in New York theater. And I cannot say this in his Brooklyn accent, like Brooklyn. He goes, Waiting for Godot is the greatest fucking play of the 20th century. And I fucking hate it. That's my attempt at Brooklyn accent. Not so hot. At number 6, The Complete Greek Tragedies, edited by David Green, at 2,099 pages. Now, I have read a good selection of these plays. I have never seen a Greek drama put on stage. I don't even know if they do Greek drama put on stage. But again, this is a great collection to have. Now that I have just finished reading the Iliad and the Odyssey with the Eclectic Book Group, I am very tempted to go back and look at some of these other great works of ancient Greece. All right, now we are getting in to books that I showed briefly in my novel selection, and these are all translated from the Chinese. This is Outlaws of the Marsh, and this is 2,148 pages long. These ancient Chinese writings, they are sometimes called novels. I'm very hesitant to call them novels. I don't know what they are. They're just epic writing. And I have not read this one. Number 4, Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And that is 2,340 pages long. I know Sandy at Miss Reads a Lot has this on her list of 1,001 books to read. She has an abridged edition, and she's sort of tempted to want to read the unabridged, and so am I. And who knows, maybe someday there'll be a group read of this massive, massive classic. Number 3, Journey to the West, 2,346 pages long. I have read the first volume of this. There it is, volume 1. And I just stopped there. It's very repetitive. And it's sort of interesting, but it just sort of dull too. It's hard to explain. There is a magical monkey that can fly all over the world at great speed, and it's just weird. Number 2, A Dream of the Red Mansions, at 2,553 pages long. Again, this is something I have picked up, always meaning to read one day, never having the courage to read a book that long. And number 1, the longest collection that I own, is The Complete Works of Primo Levi at 2,901 pages long. I mean, this is a very fascinating cover, how they put his portrait over the 3 volumes. And I have read the complete volume 1, and I have read pieces of volume 2. And this is just a work that I'm going to have to spend years reading. Now, the first volume has some great books in it. It has If This Is a Man, which is his account of his time in Auschwitz and how he survived Auschwitz. And technically, it's not Auschwitz. It's a camp right outside Auschwitz, but it's just easier for me to say Auschwitz. And he only says what he directly observes. So in his memoir, there is no description of the gas chambers because obviously he survived and never went to the gas chamber. So this is a great classic, I think. And just about everyone should be reading his memoir of his time in Auschwitz, or if not his memoir, Elie Wiesel's Night. So that is my giant books of collections and compilations. Now, excluded from this is the Library of America. And I've excluded the Library of America because I have about 20 books that could qualify for the big books, because they're more than 1,000 pages long. But I picked out the longest, which is Thomas Jefferson's writings, and that is 1,597 pages long. I have read brief excerpts from here, but I have not read the whole thing. So that ends my library tour of my biggest books. I do have big books on audiobook, and I have big books on Kindle. Maybe someday, if I figure out how to put picture screens on this video, I'll do a tour of those big books. But until then, thank you for watching, and goodbye.